Are you tired of the typical libraries with conventional music that makes you feel meh? Introducing Leerecs.com, the music website made for and by minds like you. Our team are lifelong musicians and producers in love with music. Search the Leerecs music catalogs and find music with guaranteed originality. Mark the difference with music of signature at Leerecs.com.
Don't say you're open if you don't have the time. The clock that's always broken is a quarter past my life. Yeah, yeah, 'cause you can't see what lies on the horizon if you don't look past the sand.
This is Joe Pahlow and the song is Vertigo. Vertigo of such a great voice. That's amazing. That's a great song. Hey Joe, how's it going?
Hello, Antoine. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Pleasure is ours. This is so good. This, you start listening to this song and so smooth. It comes in so beautifully. And then when your voice starts, it's shocking. It's so, wow, this is so proficient. You gotta tell us about your, how did you arrive to this place?
That's a really great question. So this was the first song that I wrote when I first really became confident to write my own songs as a songwriter. And Vertigo very much is a literal reference to the sensation of almost a dizzying experience that comes from the experience of truly finding yourself. And so I wanted to avoid some of those common cliches. So I tried to make it more of a symbolism for the overwhelming feeling through Vertigo. And it was my first recording process as well, just myself and a guitar, because I didn't want to wait around for a band to come and back me up. I wanted to get material out into the world. And, it's really funny because now we're here talking about the song for the first time publicly. And I wrote it, perhaps 2 to 3 years ago and recorded it 2 years ago. So I'm really, really happy that it's still kind of shining through with the potential. The whole goal was to showcase the potential. And I'm really in love with the guitar part. I'm very proud of it. And I think the first 30 seconds of the song serves as a very, very good hook. But you can certainly hear the rawness of someone who isn't quite, fully cut into his shape yet, But I'm proud of it.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of it. I, personally of the opinion, maybe, a lot of people as well, the better times of a band or musician is this moment. So when you have the fresh ideas, you're getting started, you have all the passion, even if the technique is not quite there yet, it takes like a second place. It's totally driven by passion and enthusiasm and talent. And this is what I think you can hear listening to this song. I'm very impressed. So, okay, we talked about the song and the process about building it itself, but what happened before this moment? So how did you get interested in making music? How did it all start?
Well, I've been a drummer my entire life. I was drawn to rhythm at a very young age because my parents both had a very good taste in music. And so I'm very grateful that I was brought up around a very diverse but, eclectic group of the stars from the 70s, the 80s, and even the 60s of all different genres. So was exposed to a wide variety when I was very young, and naturally would dance around the house when I would get excited from the way the music made me feel. And so from there, I basically took up drumming. Was my first love and still is a very strong passion of mine. Unfortunately, the instrument itself wasn't able to serve everything I wanted from music, because I wanted to express myself and to find a way to kind of have my own songs. And this came about from being in a lot of bands with friends growing up, as most kids do. And I always just wanted to practice more. I wanted to play more. I wanted to do more. But when they weren't as committed as doing a band thing, I realized that the best way forward would be to go out on my own as a solo artist. And I made this decision, around 5-10 years ago, but wasn't a songwriter, wasn't a singer at this time. So I really had to spend, the better part of 8 to 10 years working on my craft. But the instinct and the passion was always there, and some technique from the rhythm side. Everything else, though, was self-taught.
That's fantastic. I think, the songwriter is probably born, and then everything else comes afterwards. Learning whatever it takes, if you have it in you. And sometimes it's like these songs need transportation method to come into the world, and they find you. How do you feel about that? Like, how's your process, your songwriting process?
Well, that's a really great question. So I actually am very lucky that I have a childhood best friend that I write all of my songs with. Some of them are all me, and I write them myself, but about 90% of all the songs I have, I write with my best friend, one of my best friends from childhood. And it's funny because we never set out to do that. It just became a natural chemistry that we both had, understanding the structure of a song. The way I approach it is every single song that I want to put out into the world that I can be proud of has to come from a genuine point of inspiration. That raw passion, people respond to that more than they will to any level of technical ability. So it needs to have the genuine instinct behind it. Yes. I don't want to lie to anyone, and I don't want to fully engineer something, to sound generic. That being said, I am in the genre of pop music, and pop being short for popular, I need to make my music as appealing as possible. Right. So there are times when I take this genuine, let's say it's a mold of clay, and I use kind of an engineering process, to make things maybe a little bit more accessible and catchier. But it's not for the sake of, record sales. It's for the sake of my desire to communicate with as many people in the world as possible. And pop music is the genre which is the most accessible to the most people. So it starts with something genuine on the acoustic guitar. And if it sounds good on acoustic, that's usually your litmus test for a really good song. Yeah. And like I said, I have my best friend who is my sounding board, who I write all my songs with. And we have such different perspectives because I come from it with raw emotion and passion, and he really has the theoretical and technical side. So it forms a very nice balance. And, I'm really proud of some of the songs that we've written together over the past year that actually will hopefully be coming out in an album in the next few months or so.
Hopefully, we definitely would love to hear them. And, it's very interesting because something that is very personal, like writing a song, like you're saying, there's got to be a very good chemistry together. What, if you can tell us a little bit of the details, and I also want to get later into something you touch upon, the response of the audience, but, after this, when you are... How does it happen? Do you come with an idea, with the lyrics, with the with the melody? Can you tell us a little bit of the details?
Of course. So, like most great art, the challenge is that you're creating something from nothing. It's something that didn't exist previously that you're now bringing into the world. Yes. The best songs range, they come from genuine inspiration. So sometimes it feels like a signal is sent straight to my head. and I can't get that signal out of my head until I process it in some sort of way, whether it be chords or a melody. I use the voice memo app on my iPhone all the time, because if you aren't able to harness these signals that I was referencing, you are going to lose the idea. And whether it be at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m., whenever that moment strikes, it's very important that you kind of grab that lightning in the bottle.
Absolutely.
So that's really, really a huge part of it is being open and aware of those signals coming in. And it's not some sort of divine inspiration. You can't be looking for it, but you have to be open to it coming to you. But these songs are an extension of myself, and my personality tends to be very open and transparent and honest. So when it comes to being vulnerable and genuine and honest with your messaging, that isn't a challenge for me. In fact, it's something that I strive to have represented in the songs I create. Like I referenced before, my friend who is my co-writer, he will come to me sometimes with ideas that he comes up with, but he will approach it from, hey, this sounds really nice, but then he will work in terms of music theory to find the right chords that complement it well. And a very much textbook approach to get the song structure in line. And from there, the music usually always comes first, and then the melody, and then we fit the lyrics to the melody. And the lyrics need to be important, and they need to convey the message of that emotional sentiment that comes from the music. But more often than not, the final word choices come down to how things sound phonetically and sonically. If these syllables will work well with the music. Right. Because we are in the music industry, not the lyric industry, So for me, the music is paramount. It's paramount.
It's a good way to saying it. There's so many.
But that doesn't take away. That doesn't take away from the importance of the lyrics.
Right.
It just emphasizes that the foundation of the music must be there before you can really start writing the poetry on top of it.
100%, and I've seen. I wouldn't say for myself. Actually, for myself, it's the same way. And I've seen it in many other singers and songwriters. The melody and kind of like the rhythm comes before the words. Although it's not that they're less important. It's just that it modulates your choices. Because the foundation is really the music. And I agree with that 100%. This song is your guitar and you, but you're mentioning pop music and producing, and you play drums. So within your future album, do you have other songs with fully fleshed with more instruments and like that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before with these first recordings, they were to get myself out into the world because I didn't want to wait around for a band to back me up. I wanted to get started with the process. And during the pandemic and everything with COVID going on, I took advantage of that time to really fine-tune the craft of being a songwriter. And so at that point, I wrote about an album over the past year. I'd say about 20 songs that we have now trimmed down to about 12. And they're all written, and some of them you can find on my social media profiles. But the obstacle now is kind of the next steps in terms of recording, because I know how special these songs are, and you really only get one chance at a first impression. So I know that to go on it by myself without a producer would be a mistake. So right now, my current goal is to attract a record label that would allow me to use their resources to kind of produce these songs on a mainstream level, so I can be competitive with the quality of sound. I have all the orchestration done. We as in myself and my friend, who goes by the name of No Show, by the way. He wants to have a pen name, so we're going to call him No Show. He wants to remain unidentified, so which is really cool because he's like the Wizard of the Oz behind the curtain with me on these songs.
Nice.
So what ends up happening is we are in the cat and mouse game right now, where I'm trying to attract a major record label who sees the potential in my music, who is willing to put me in the room with the right producer and the right resources to execute these songs. I know how I want the drummer to play and what the bass should play and what the second guitar should play and piano, but there is an element of production that is a variable that I'm just not experienced with. And not only is it another set of ears that offers new insight and opinions, but it's someone with the experience of, okay, you have a song with a band. How do we make this sound top 40? How do we make this have the sound of radio? Do we do half of it with synthesizers and half of it with acoustic instruments? Where do we find that balance to make it sound classic but also modern, you know? Because the songs themselves do that, but recording is a very much of a process that's dependent on the execution of how things go. And so it might sound good when I play you my song in my living room with my acoustic guitar, but when we get into a studio, it can be very sterile, and everything needs to be very precise, almost to a perfectionist point, you know, especially with pop music.
Excellent. Yeah, wonderful. You know, I think we would wish you that this definitely comes to you. You know, you're pursuing this, and definitely you have the talent. So you know, it's, if you keep working, I'm positive you're going to get it. So just to say, you know, a few words. If you had to give an advice to the younger yourself, what would that be?
That's a tough question. There's a lot of things I could say about not only life, but so it's tough because wisdom is just learned experience. You know, you can't teach wisdom. You can tell people what to expect and how things might play out based on your own experience, but some things in life you have to experience yourself. I really am, you know, grateful for the person I am today and how I'm approaching things because of all of the failures and time spent with mistakes in the past. So if I had to really talk to myself, I would just be more confident in the songwriting process, and I would probably practice a bit more with all of my instruments and all my craft when I was younger. When I had first graduated college, I spent a year working in corporate America, and that was really soul-crushing for me because I knew so badly that I wanted to be a musician, and that was my only way of happiness in life, but I was not at a level of competency where I was able to actually be as good as a professional musician or competitive. So I very much was in this place that felt toxic to me, and it left me in a very low point, where I wasted about a year of my life not doing music and not pursuing anything because I didn't know if this was something that was feasible, because everything in life will always be against you doing something as crazy as, you know, playing Wembley Stadium or Madison Square Garden. If those are your dreams, people always ask if, you know, where's your plan B? When are you going to have a realistic vision for yourself? So I would just tell myself to be more disciplined with my practice, and I would tell myself to be more open with sharing what I found special to me in music with the world at an earlier point, because I did kind of get started at a later age than most people in pop music. So it would just be to stay more true to myself and stay disciplined with the things that I was practicing on, and confident with getting the ball rolling sooner than it needed to be.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, you know, like there might be plenty of people that would listen to this and take it as your advice. And for yourself, you're doing pretty good. From what I can hear, you know, this song is fantastic, and your voice is, like I said, is very, very special. So all the good luck and the best wishes, and you know, it's been a pleasure. Now we're going to continue to enjoy Vertigo by Joe Pahlow. To the next one, Joe.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Likewise.
The sand and part to me. We're always improvising, but now I've got a plan, and it feels like I'm in control for the first time. Finally let me in, and I'm spinning in circles as it all starts to sink in, and I'm ready to be running away for the last time. I'm stepping into my skin, but the higher I go, the more I've gotta take it slow with this vertigo. And I know that all you wanna do is knock me off track again, and it shows in every little thing you try to attack and get me to reacting.
Are you tired of the typical libraries with conventional music that makes you feel meh? Introducing Leerecs.com, the music website made for and by minds like you. Our team are lifelong musicians and producers in love with music. Search the Leerecs music catalogs and find music with guaranteed originality. Mark the difference with music of signature at Leerecs.com.